It's Friday, September 20th, 2019. From Sven's house in fabulous Ferndale, this is your Daily Detroit, sharing what to know and where to go in Metro Detroit. I'm Jer Stays.
And I'm Sven Gustafson. Welcome, one and all, to my humble abode. Let me know if you'd like a glass of water or anything to drink. I just ask that you please just take off your shoes, leave them over there by the door. Jer, it's good to do an episode with the handheld again, man. We've had some good times with this little piece.
Yeah, it's been great to be on the road today, and it's been a lot of fun. It's a different kind of episode.
You remember the Grassy Knoll episode?
Oh yeah, I don't know if people realize this, but we actually did an early episode of this podcast from a grassy knoll outside of that pizza place in Midtown.
We've also done Grand Circus. In fact, and this is not the first time we've done it from my house. Remember upstairs in my bedroom with the comforter or a towel over my head to deaden the sound. Remember that?
You were interviewing Marcia Battle Philpott, and that was for
Aretha Franklin.
Yeah, we did the Aretha Franklin show in the house. That was
good times.
Very good times. Well, the reason we're doing all this is today we have been on the road. The first half of the day, we were out with the Detroit Public TV folks doing a piece on I-375. So we just, to make sure to get a show out today, we had to play pickup.
Hey, we're nothing if not resourceful.
So here's what we're talking about today. It's looking like I-375 is going to turn into a boulevard in downtown Detroit. And a man who was at the center of a controversial stop in Royal Oak has been arrested for an unrelated charge of fleeing police and making a false felony police report.
Also, just down the way from us here in Ferndale, the Eastern Market Brewing Company has bought Axle Brewing's Livernois Tap room. We'll discuss that. And finally, in a story that I can't get enough of, a tomato plant growing out of a pothole. Will wonders never cease, Jer?
But first, thanks to our members who help make this show possible. You can become one of those cool folks at patreon.com/dailydetroit. All right, Sven, the Eastern Market Brewing Company is buying the remains of Axle Brewing, and it will be reopening their tap room really just down the street from here on Livernois in Ferndale. This is a pretty cool story.
It's a great story. Great news. The Livernois Tap closed. They announced the closure earlier this year after, I think, less than 2 years, I think it was, right? A real blow because I think that place had really attracted a lot of buzz in the early going. They spent a lot of money opening that place. I know they got some state help. There was a sign about the MEDC helping to support that project. A beautiful facility, frankly, on Livernois, between 8 and 9 Mile Road, a little closer to 8 Mile, frankly, but had the potential. I'm not saying it really ever did this, but had the potential to kind of begin to revitalize what was kind of a down on its luck commercial corridor over there on Livernois in Ferndale. There's not a lot of activity, although there have been some new businesses opening up over there and everything. But again, a beautiful facility, state of the art, had a dining room, the subway tile on the back bar and everything. Just gorgeous. So super excited to see that it's going to have a new owner in Eastern Market Brewing Company. We had Dane Bartsch, the managing partner of Eastern Market Brewing Company, on a podcast recently, and we'll link to that. But good guy. I used to work with him in my last job. They've got that beautiful facility down in Eastern Market on Riopelle Street. The plan, essentially, they're going to be buying the Livernois Tap. I didn't hear anything, according to the Free Press article, about re-releasing any Axle beers necessarily or doing anything with that brand. The plan is to, Axle is still going to be owning the Livernois Tap building. It sounds like they're essentially going to be the landlord here.
And what I'm excited about seeing this is that it looks like EMBC is going to really increase their production as much as triple it and move a lot of that stuff, that actual production of the beer out here to Ferndale.
Yeah, I mean, Dane talked about that they're already at capacity down on Riopelle Street in their original location. So that's good news for them. Apparently, the branding is going to be sort of different from the Eastern Market location, including probably a lot of different styles of beers, which I think is really interesting. I'm just excited to have another option here, within walking distance to me personally. I mean, I'm being a little selfish here, but I think it's a great thing for Ferndale. I think it could be great for that Livernois corridor over there. Apparently, they're getting Chef Garrett McDonald, who was formerly at Chartreuse, to run their food program over there. So, yeah, great news. I'm really excited to hear about it.
In an update to a story we talked about at length on the show a few weeks ago, Devin Myers, the 20-year-old African-American man who was stopped and questioned at length by Royal Oak police officers, has been arrested on an unrelated charge. According to the Royal Oak Tribune, it turns out he was involved in an incident fleeing Michigan State Police weeks before. Myers allegedly sped 124 miles an hour down I-96, all the while being tracked by a state police helicopter. Then he ditched his car and his wallet underneath the TCF Center. And then Myers allegedly reported the car he ditched as stolen. The main fleeing and eluding charge is a 5-year felony, and the false report of a felony could be up to 4 years in prison. His bond was set at $10,000, 10%, and is due back in Detroit's 36th District Court on September 30th. Last month, Myers was questioned outside of In Season Cafe after a white woman told police he was eyeing her suspiciously and following her. The incident was widely seen as an example of racial profiling. It resulted in the police chief apologizing to Myers and the rookie Royal Oak police officer resigning. All right, Sven, let's talk I-375. We've talked about it before on video on the Facebook page. It's a story we've touched a couple of different times as it's grown over the last year plus. But for podcast listeners, what is this all about?
So yeah, I-375 is of course the kind of spur off of 75 that below Gratiot Avenue that takes you into downtown Detroit, right? And there's that curve where it basically joins East Jefferson. This freeway is literally falling apart, right? We've been on it. We've been on the bridges. You can see the concrete is literally crumbling.
It is tore up from the floor up.
For sure. The bridges, I mean, if you drive underneath the bridges and look up, you can see plywood sheets holding, preventing the concrete from falling onto passing cars. It's not in good shape. So instead of repairing it and rebuilding all those bridges, I think there's like at least 5 overpass bridges there, and redoing the pavement and the drainage and all that stuff, the state has basically said, you know what, we're going to fill it in and make it a surface level boulevard with wide sidewalks, with 2-way bike lanes that will connect you all the way down to the riverfront. This is a huge change for, a freeway that has been in place for half a century now.
It's a change that is going to have a major impact on downtown Detroit, because we were just we've been working on a longer piece about Greektown and the transformation happening there. And one of the things I realized while I was getting Found Sound was that there was so much through traffic of Monroe to get to that freeway. And if you turn into a boulevard, you create a lot more connections, and you actually also take away a lot of like insane noise and backups, because in the morning that freeway can get pretty hairy, and there's been a lot of accidents along there when we're talking to the MDOT guys. For
sure. I mean, I used to work, I used to take 375 because my office was right off of that freeway. It's loud. It's kind of dangerous, frankly. I mean, I remember going home, afternoon rush hour. Everybody's racing, and trying to beat red lights to turn left onto the service drive to get on the freeway. And it felt really unsafe to me. I kind of started to avoid it for that reason. So this is going to, it's going to be, I think, quieter. It's going to, again, offer first ever access for bikes and pedestrians, frankly. And as the state told us today, it's going to open up a lot of new real estate that the state owns, but then can in turn unload and sell to private developers for development. I mean, this is basically going to be like brand new downtown real estate, which is great for the city of Detroit. We should also mention that 375, when it was built back in the early 60s, wiped out a historic African American neighborhood called Black Bottom, Paradise Valley, place of dense with businesses, really dense housing and everything. That stuff's not coming back, to be clear, but this is an effort to really reclaim, something that had really put a scar on Detroit's urban fabric.
So we'll have more on the DPTV report coming up in another week or so, but new designs are coming this fall, and construction is expected to start in 2022 and take a couple years.
Before we let you go, I just wanted to let you know about a kind of a cute little neat story. Down in Corktown at PJ's Lager House, there is a large tomato plant growing in a pothole behind the business. There's a little barrier for protection, according to WXYZ, and some they liken it to the city's comeback itself.
Stay weird, Detroit. Stay weird.
Detroit, the little tomato plant that could. That'll do it for your Daily Detroit, friends. I'm Sven Gustafson. As it's Friday, the last show of the week, our thanks to Cheyenne Nosarini, Randy Walker, and a happy belated birthday to our spirits advisor and New Zealand resident, Yuri Gojai.
Miss you, man. And of course, thank you for listening. I'm Jer Stays. Take care of each other, and we'll see you around Detroit. All right, dude, what did you find in your fridge, man?
Well, we were talking earlier about Axle Brewing and, Eastern Market Brewing taking over the Livernois Tap. And I found this bottle of Secret Meeting, right? Which Axle was nice enough to drop off to us like way back in like the late winter.
Yeah.
Remember that day we were recording at the shipping company studio?
Yeah.
Well, I've still got one bottle in the fridge and I noticed it the other day and I'm like, it might be, it's definitely probably past its prime, but it's probably still drinkable. So we're about to find out.
We are. It says Secret Meeting. Dude, I guess it's not secret if we put it on a podcast.
Well, and it's got a wax seal on the cap, similar to like a Maker's Mark bottle. And it seems like it's really dried out.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
All right, here we go. Let's crack this bad boy open. For you. One for me. And just to remind our listeners, this is a Baltic Porter. And if I remember correctly, it's like 12% ABV, if I remember correctly.
Buckle up, friends. It's fragrant.
So, cheers. Here's to Axle Brewing. Actually, it's held up pretty well. I guess you'd expect that from a 12%. What do you think, Joe?
Good then, good now.